I'm excited to talk about season 2 of the show. I really enjoyed the first season, and it feels like Wild Bill maybe stormed in season 1. He's maybe a more sympathetic character this time around. Did you approach did you approach the role any differently, knowing that he has more layers to the story this time around?
Not really, because I always saw him as a survivor and a solo act and somebody who read a room like an expert. And by room, I mean anything from Madison Square Garden to a bathroom in a bar. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he is, he's self-made. So I think, if anything, his exclusive dependence on kind of transactionally getting over in every aspect of life, including the ring, has stopped working. And so by being back in Duffy, he's sort of found an opportunity to, whether he knows it or not, to grow as a human being and not just a gimmick.
Mm.
And that's what's great about this season of the show. I mean, his history with the people in Duffy and their particular personalities kind of make it so he basically he can't help but, if he wants to, become a better person.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the cast, for the most part, I'll exclude Tom's widow because there's still some clear issues there. But for the most part, I think everybody sees the value that Bill brings to the DWL. And more to your point, I feel like that this Bill that we're seeing was there. I just think maybe the one that we meet in the beginning of the show was a defense mechanism almost, because like you said, it's transactional. He made himself, he had to be this way, or he felt he had to be this way to be a success. But now you're sort of seeing the guy that everybody knew before he left.
Yeah, that's kind of an amazing observation. I think that's very accurate. And I think that season one the first time we see Bill in season one, he knows more about his imminent demise than anybody else.
Mm.
So I think he arrives there kind of terrified already and running from a disaster that you can't really escape, because wherever you go, there you are. It's that kind of a situation. So I think he came in at the beginning of the season full bore, trying to knock everybody back on their heels. And when things catch up to him and he really has no place else to go but back there, all of the people who he basically was flashing hundies for, those are the people who potentially could give him a home. And he's definitely not somebody who's used to needing help.
Mm-hmm.
And by no means could he ever say that out loud, but I think that some of the intimacy and some of the history that he has with the Spades make it clear that there's still a little bit of a kind of family connection. And but he's desperate. He's desperate for sure. He's lost also. One of the things I love about season 2, though, is that for a true performer, you can never be 100% lost if there's a stage nearby. And for the kind of diehard wrestler that I think he is, there's no better stage than the ring. So as long as he's got eyes on the ring or can get his feet inside, I feel like he thinks he's going to be okay. But he definitely needs Jack's permission.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to find some way to contribute and make himself invaluable, which he's completely willing to do. I mean, he's an expert. He is a crowd expert.
Yeah, there's two specific instances that stood out most. The one I think I can reference, it was the chin guy monologue during the promo class. I thought that was just brilliant. Like it exemplified like why he's there, what he knows, and how he can help people, even though, you know, maybe they didn't want his help at first. And then and this one I it's a little bit of a spoiler, so I'll be vague about it, but you know, Bill was there for people even when people, you know, like he was there for Tom when people thought he wasn't.
Yeah.
And there's this, you know, there's a lot of that story that people will see as the season unravels. But, you know, I referenced it before. I think he's that guy. It's just maybe he thought he had to be another guy.
Yeah, but also he's an old school guy. I mean, he's an old school, like he made a promise to somebody. So he kept that promise. And the irony is that he's as loyal as anybody could be. I think you see that in season 2. You see the nature of his loyalty. But he doesn't, by the way, that chin guy speech, you know, that's Mike O'Malley in a nutshell. Working with a writer like that who is willing to basically articulate that kind of vibe that I think almost anybody has, you know, from high school to being in traffic to the workplace, it's like that person drives you crazy. It's not, and it's impolite. And it was so fun to do that scene. But that's the thing that Bill has to offer. You know, it's like nobody knows more than him that if your feet hurt, you didn't work hard enough, and that nobody's going to give you anything. Everything has to be earned. And I think it's kind of an interesting, it's a bit of a stretch, but it's an interesting narrative about how wrestling itself is evolving, because taking a bump or being an acrobat have incredible value. But no matter how many, you know, 360s, 720s you do, you still got to land on the ground. And knowing how to hit the ground and get back up again at the end of the day is what it's all about. And I think that that's one of the things that Bill is trying to impart to the entire sort of DWL this season is like, nobody's going to give you anything. Nothing replaces work. And no work is better than work that's united with your heart and your passion. And that gives him a mission. I think it's something that he's always had a little bit of the evangelical in him. And there's no subject that he's more passionate about than wrestling.
It's funny that you said angelical, because that's another little treat during the season that you see as his acting career evolve.
You know, the great thing about playing Wild Bill is that, like, I find myself at different times really jealous of his career. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I don't want to give too much away, but it's really, it's great.
Yeah, it's. I had a ball this season, and it's, you know, it's entirely because of what they let me do. But I think that we touch on a lot of things. I mean, I remember when WWE was making those movies more often than I don't even know if they do now, but the Marine and I think Big Show had a movie, and they were cranking out these movies, and I remember thinking, God, I would love to be in one of those movies.
Some of them weren't actually that bad. Like I remember the first time, what was it? 12 rounds. John Cena was in that one, and then Randy Orton was in the second one. Like, they were actually pretty good movies. It was just, oh,
I
it's a
totally
wrestling
agree.
movie, so we're gonna write it off. But like, they were both really good.
Dude, I went to WrestleMania this year.
Hmm.
I was so impressed by the production of that company. I mean, it's really rare when something's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes things are less well conceived than others. You can't hit it 100% of the time, but they it's very clear that quality and taking pride in quality is an aspect of that company. And, you know, all things aside, that's just something I really admire.
Yeah. We're laughing about the angelical remark, but overall the humor is really appropriate on the show. I feel like uh, it's not thrown in there just to sort of check a box. Like it's the pacing and the tone's really good. Like in the season finale last year, like Wild Bill's out of the match because he crapped his pants and he tried to hide it. And then right away this year, you're just embracing it. Like it's a joke. Everybody's in on it. So it's, you know what I mean? Like it's not shying away from it, and it's there for
It's showbiz, man. That's the thing. It's like the show must go on, and you know, again, wrestling as the template for his whole aesthetic. It's like you better be able to incorporate the spontaneous discovery in the moment that wasn't supposed to happen. And if you can't, that's it. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
And I admire that so much about this character, man. Like he is show folk, times infinity. And again, back to your original question, that's one of the interesting things and fun things about season 2. It's like he's hit an age and he's hit a point in his career where it's like, how is he going to survive outside of an arena? Because at the end of the day, most of life is taking place on the way to and on the way home from the match. And it's caught up to him. And he's got to figure out how to do it. And, thematically applicable to the whole, show of heels, he needs other people to finish what he can't on his own.
I have a couple more questions before we get out of here, but the one thing I wanted to point out was I really appreciate Bill's approach to putting fans first. There's a convention that he goes to in the show. I don't know if you've seen some of the stories, but this year it seems like more than ever wrestlers are getting like hounded at airports for autographs, and it's like eBay sellers. Just knowing like what is on the show and how Bill reacted to his fans, and knowing kind of how people are treating wrestlers in real life, how do you think Bill would handle an autograph hound at an airport?
I honestly think that he could be in the middle of a heart attack and he would stop for a picture.
I'm not going to disagree. All right.
Yeah.
I believe it. I think that's accurate. All right, and then my last question. A lot of people know you from your work on The Wire. So, would Frank Sabatka be a pro wrestling fan, and would he be DWL, or is he Dystopia?
Frank Sabatka would be a front row ticket holder, and I think he'd be DWL all the way because it's family. It's family first, and it's old school. It's get over by good booking, good story, and hard work. And Dystopia is the Haunted Mansion. It's like Universal Horror Nights, and Sabatka would be like, that's bullshit trickery. Slam somebody in the mouth and sell that it hurts.
All right. I'm really appreciate your time today. I'd love to keep talking, but I don't want to venture too much into spoiler territory. But
yeah.
season 2 was a blast. I can't wait for other people to see it. And again, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it.